Alright fellas, here we're back on Pokemon Masters, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new free-to-play Riley and Lucario sync pair. Very good sync pair, just to start out with. Good sprint sync pair. We are going to be getting the EX for free. I have already invested the power-ups I have received. So yeah, very, very nice stuff. Log in over the course of 10 days, get the power-ups, get a free EX unit, free sprint EX no less. So yeah, be sure to do all that, right? Anyway, yeah. So looking at Riley and Lucario, they're a very decent damage dealer for sure for fighting in steel types. Probably about on the same level, if not a little bit better than the main character in Solgaleo. Definitely having advantages with the sync countdown, especially via max countdown, because they do have a max move. Pretty strong max move too. You'll see that in the first battle here that we're going to do, which I will say, I did 1 stadium battle and 2 legendary arena battles because I don't feel like trying to use my brain. Not really. Nah, it's just these stadium weeks are really annoying. There's only like one of them that's not that bad because all of them have hyper max like offenses or like 30,000 health. I'm good, man. I'm good. Unless you all want to see like the really hardcore ramped setups, which even the first one is pretty much his most hardcore ramped setup. But we'll go ahead and go into that, I guess. But whatever. Looking at Riley's grid, if I can get it pulled up, it's not bad. He's got 2 max node power-ups for the max knuckle and the max steel spike, as well as the sync nose. He's got brain sync 5 for his sync move, as well as the innate multiplier with speed buffing, inertia pretty much. He's also got ramming speed for his DPS, which is not bad for Iron Tail and close combat for sure, and a couple other utility things such as accuracy nodes for Iron Tail, pinpoint entry as well for Iron Tail, amped up 1, which is pretty good for buffing his speed in a self-sufficient way, as well as sharp entry 1 for crit self-sufficiency and a few other small things, but that's mostly it. Definitely a free-to-play unit for sure, right? He's not like comparable to many gacha units that have recently released, but he is definitely quite good, especially for where you're going to use him mostly, the battle rally. He'll be very good there, especially once he does unlock the EX. I'm going to go ahead and look at him now, and we'll go ahead and look at him again later when he actually does get the full free-to-play 6-star EX. Could I EX him now? Sure. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to wait and get the power-ups. So anyway, yeah, let's go ahead on to these battles and see how good Riley and Lucario can be without the 6-star EX. Here's our stadium battle here against Drake. We've got ourselves Aura, Cynthia, and Ray. Obviously, this is probably one of the most common, if not the most common setup for him outside of maybe like triple Lucario with Karina, because Aura, Cynthia, and him obviously work very well together. You got pretty much double sprint with her EX roll. Fighting zone, of course, defensive buffs, crit buffs. You can pretty much work with Aura, Cynthia very well, right? And then Ray here is for the double sprint, as well as obviously providing the Sinnoh Master Passive for Cynthia. This is a triple fighting, a triple Sinnoh Master Passive type build here, and it works out pretty well, for sure. Obviously, Ray is our biggest damage dealer here, but the big thing that you can do with Riley here is that you can use a sync move with either him or his allies, and then you can also queue up the max move right afterwards. Essentially right afterwards, right? In order to do a lot of good stuff with that. You can get, obviously, your support X in here with Cynthia and then use the max move for extra countdown. If you were to either flinch the sides or whoever is attacking, or if you were to quad Q, you could actually pretty much skip the entire sync cycle with a sprint EX roll. Also 10,000 damage, pretty good, right? Like, as you can see here, if we would have actually managed to somehow quad Q that close combat with Riley, we would have been at 0 sync countdown to where we would have got our next sync move pretty much literally a turn later, which is a little absurd. So I go ahead and just use Riley's sync move so we can see it. I think this is the right grid. I think so. Either way, fighting zone is up still, obviously, and he uses the nuke here for good 3,000 damage because thank you for the crit. Also, it does not seem I do actually have his nuke node. Yeah, this is the wrong grid. Yeah. This is the grid where I do his DPS for fighting, not nuke, because obviously the plan was to nuke with Cynthia. Support X with Cynthia rather, and then nuke with Ray if need be, right? So either way, we got to see Riley's sync move. Very basic fighting impact, right? But still, I mean, Riley got a nice animation, I suppose. Either way, glad to have Riley in the game for sure. So that was very nice. Here are the grids and whatnot. Either way, yeah, Riley definitely synergizes very well with Cynthia and Lucario for the fighting Sinnoh Master Passive, as well as, of course, the fighting zone, as well as heavily benefiting from her defensive buffs and whatnot, especially in these harder hitting stadium stages. So he definitely appreciated that a lot. So there was the battle versus stadium. Let's go ahead. Let's face Regirock and Registeel so we can do a little bit of a on-type super effective steel and fighting damage showcase. Showcase against Regirock. We probably should have brought, not Champion Marnie, Palatine's Marnie, yeah, that one, for the Steel Zone. And by the way, in my opinion, I think Steel Zone could use a little bit of a new setter. Just in my opinion. Anyway, so whatever. We got ourselves again Riley. We got blue here. I want to say Neo Champion for like every single character that has a Neo Champion ult. But we have Lodge Blue here in order to bring flinches as well as a few speed buffs for Riley, so we can get quicker speed buffs up. But we do have Dashing Team and of course amped up on him, so he is going to be getting his speed buffs pretty quickly anyway. Especially being a legendary arena where you can build up really easily for the most part. So it's not too bad. Either way, doesn't really matter too much. Just felt like bringing blue in anyway because he buffs, maxes out Riley's attack as well as just assist and buffing like crit, the speed and whatnot, as well as just being a pretty good support in general. I say that though, but I've still yet to use any move in order to actually buff Riley's crit to +3 here. Whoopsies, but it's whatever, clearly. Also, especially because Regirock is infamous for not being great to showcase with because he does that crit shield, which is just really annoying. Either way, it's not really the best, worst thing in the world. It's definitely not the best thing in the world, trust me. But thankfully, because we are able to use blue here in order to actually just deny all of his iron defenses. Well, for this first bar anyway, right? Pretty good for sure. So I'll go ahead and go for the stomp there, try and get the flinch back in. 11,000 damage Iron Tail is very good for sure, but that is also with free sync buffs, right? Maxed out speed, pretty much maxed out stats other than crit, but clearly the move crit, so it's not really that big of a deal. This is where we actually can find 6,000 damage there, by the way, on that Iron Tail. Very nice as well. We're finally actually maxed out our Riley's crit. I want to say O'Reilly's. Oh my god. Either way, whatever. Riley's definitely going to benefit a lot from the EX. Obviously, the stats are definitely the biggest thing for sure, but he's also obviously going to be getting that Sprint EX roll, which combined with the max move countdown is going to be really good. Really good, especially if you have another character that can do -1 sync countdown, because that is going to be a very good enabler for you to get just a lot of sync countdown. But obviously, get your next sync move in pretty much one turn prior to, after your quad Q, or after your sync move, which is pretty damn strong, right? It would have been most effective to go for Glorious Sync move here, but again, I wanted to go for Riley's just for the cinematic, so that's what I went ahead and did. And I'm pretty sure this doesn't do anything worth the damage for the most part. Or guide me, yes. Whatever. Yeah, 4,000 damage. Thank you, Crit Shield. Love you as always. And obviously can't be flinched because of course not. But yeah, so Riley definitely not bad against any steel weak enemies for sure. I don't know if he's better than the main character Lucario after their power boost, especially because that character does not require nearly as much setup in order to make work. But I would say he's definitely a good alternative at the very least. A free-to-play alternative to a free-to-play, right? I mean, they're both technically limited because the main character does need his power boost, which is a Lola locked, so, or Lola Villain Arc boost locked, so whatever. Either way, definitely not bad for steel damage for sure. Could be better, could be worse, but either way, an Iron Tail with a 30% multiplier off of about a 400 attack stat is definitely not going to be, too bad for sure, so that's nice. But yeah. There was Riley versus Regirock, Steel Weak Regirock. We'll go ahead go to Reggie Steel, where we're going to be able to showcase Riley's fighting damage. Obviously, his big thing being an actual fighting sync pair. Don't know why he's fighting and not Steel, because he's a Steel type trainer. He could have easily just been Steel. I don't think anyone would have been hurting too much if he was Steel over fighting, especially with Ray being another Sinnoh sprint fighting character. Whatever. Let's go ahead and go over to Reggie Steel. And here we are versus Registeel here for some very nice fighting damage. Again, I do apologize for not being not being able to, but more so being too lazy and too lacking of creativity to do any stadium stages with some different setups. I don't know, it's just my brain don't work too well, all right? I'm just being honest with you. Either way, I did not mean to go for that aerial ace, so clearly my brain is not the biggest in the hemisphere, all right? I meant to go for the trainer move, but I forgot that it's on the left and not the right. Oh well, can't blame me too much there, considering they have had every other trainer's trainer move on the right ever since fucking the 2nd anniversary, pretty much. It's actually rare to see a trainer move not on the bottom right, so that's neat. Either way, go ahead and go for Skylar Sync move so we can go ahead and get the support EX in here. We do have Brawly for the defensive debuffs, because Brawly is actually one of the biggest, greatest techs for the Registeel fight for sure. Having actual bulk, defensive debuffs, potions. Very solid character. Also can break the screens, though those don't really matter too much. But obviously it is a thing that he can do for sure. So if you would like to, go for that, have fun. Either way, fighting damage, definitely not looking too bad. About 9,000 on Registeel after support EX with +4 attack. Pretty sure that is maxed out speed, so could be a little bit better, but definitely could be a lot worse. We go ahead here for the max move here. Definitely probably would have been better to save it for later, but I went ahead and went for it here anyway, just so I could ramp up some sync buffs and start doing good damage. Either way, Riley and Lucario, not a bad fighting damage dealer. I would have showcased his steel damage against this week's stadium because it is Steel Week, but I forgot. It's Steel Week Glacia, who is, for one, Century Entry, and for two, has like 1,200 base attack, so any Blizzard she launches is just gonna fucking one-tap whoever you throw at her. Yeah, fun times, I know. Either way, could have done some like flinch spamming, sleep spamming, that type of thing, but really, with also the fact that she has Century Entry, it is just not worth my time, man. If y'all want to see the funniest abuses of random enemy gimmicks and just not caring about what enemies do, go watch his Infobal video, trust me. Anyway, so we got into the final phase of Registeel here, where we're going to be able to do some really good damage. Close combat is about half, yeah, 16,000 damage, but of course under 3 sync buffs is still really solid, of course. Riley does have Super Sinker, I believe, so you could definitely build him for Super Sinker with the fighting nuke here. 67,000. That was that 67,000. That's a fucking lot, man. Either way, 67,000 damage. Woohoo! You could have built him for a Super Sinker, which then would allow close combat to do a whole hell of a lot after his nuke, which would have been pretty good for sure. Either way, Riley on type fighting damage is very good for sure. Not that fighting like really struggles too much for any good damage dealer with the addition of Ray. We also already have Neo Champion Hop and then Neo Champion Rosa and Cynthia to buff fighting, and then other fighting types probably like Koraidon coming eventually, as well as like B, Bruno, not horrible fighting damage dealer. So Riley definitely not necessary to be doing good fighting damage, but clearly he can do it, you know, I would hope, being a fighting main character. Still think he should have been Steel, but hey, clearly DNA does not agree, and does not think that a Steel type trainer should be a Steel type unit, right? But at least, at the very least, he does do very prominent Steel damage with Iron Tail. His DPS is actually better than with Steel than it is with fighting, because Iron Tail has a little bit higher power than close combat, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, Riley, definitely a good free-to-play sync pair for sure, especially for something like the Battle Rally or Legendary Gauntlet Streaks, probably he'll be useful in. Good for stadium battles for fighting Steel Week stages as well, and you can, of course, run him with someone like Neo Champion Rosa or a Cynthia, whoever it may be, in order to actually get some very good clears out of that as well, if you were to try that. I could have done a Neo Champion Rosa setup, but I'll probably just save that for next week, so you can get a really good look at like maybe a double sprint setup. I don't know. Either way, yeah, there's your Riley showcase. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you think about Riley and whatnot down in the comments below. I'll be sure to do another showcase once he does get the full EX unlocked for free for everyone, and I'll see you all later.